Hello, my name is Beth McDonald Stone, and I'm an avid knitter and knitwear designer coming to you from Bermuda. Lots to talk about today. I'm pretty excited about this one, but I get kind of excited about any of them, so sorry. I'm really feeling creative and into knitting and sewing, and just the weather is cooler, and I'm just inspired. So I hope you are too. I hope you're really enjoying whatever season you're in right now and enjoying your own crafting. Luna's walking around. I think she's going to settle down. We've had a little chat, and she's just lying down right now. So we're all good. So let's get going. So today's featured pattern, I'm really excited, is one that I've been working on for a while now. It's this Ride the Waves top. So I'm wearing one, and this is my other version, and I'd love to knit another version again. I'm so itching. I can't say it. I think I say it every episode. I need more hands. But this is called the Ride the Waves top, and it's a top-down contiguous construction. And I'm going to say, sorry, a sneeze. Top-down contiguous, that's a hard word to say, construction. And then, worked, so increases along the shoulder and then worked flat for the arms, and then joined in the round again for the body. A boxy body, really flattering, with fitted sleeves. Again, in the instructions, I give lots of information on how you can customize this for your arm size. Some test centers have even done it so that it's not fitted at all, so it's sort of skimming or even a little bit loose. So take a look, because the test centers versions are all amazing. The pattern's written in such a way that basically I want you to emphasize your assets. I hate that word. I want you to emphasize or work with your body in the best possible fit and the most flattering. I think that's the best way of saying it. Sorry. So this is just knit flat, and so I give a suggestion, but you can knit it longer, shorter, whatever you want, for your best fit. So I think this one is actually a bit looser, or quite a bit looser, which is cool too. I like them both on me a lot. I'm just going to twist this. It's sort of, this is my wonky dress form that has a bit of a lean to it. Anyways, so I've knit this one first. I was really inspired by these colors. I picked these yarns up at not this past Woolen Affair, but the Woolen Affair from the year before, from A Wandering Flock, and I wanted to use them together. And so I, anyways, came up with this design. So this is a Woolen Affair singles in the color Alexandrite and Neon Lilac. And top down, really simple. So worked flat here, but again, this is not a difficult stitch motif. This is a really traditional old shale stitch. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. It's all done in a way that it's flat, so there's no sort of raised purl bumps, which is also common in an old shale, sorry. There's lots of different versions and everything like that, but I played around with the yarn before in a swatch and found the texture and the look that I wanted for this. And and then the neat thing is with the old shale at the bottom, it has a really fun little ripple effect too, which I think is really charming. Sometimes I tuck it in, sometimes I leave it out, but I kind of like that ripple, which is why it's finished with a I-cord edge. See, can I hold it up? There's a little I-cord edge, so that if I were to put rib at the end, it would straighten that out. And I just kind of wanted to emphasize it. This has still got a little bit of it, but it's not as noticeable as the one that I'm wearing. And I think that's just yarn dependent. This yarn is very, very light. While this is Laneras Secretos in the color Hanalei Sunset. And I love this yarn. It's a little bit more, it knit up a little bit more dense, which actually is great too. So it really works with both. And then mixed with the Spincycle color Rosy, Mapel, and dyed in the wool. And the Spincycle I used for the hem here, and that was just a little bit more like firmer, and so it's not as wavy, but in the lighter yarn, the scallops, the waves really do still show, and I really love that. I think that's really fun. What else can I tell you about this? It's a simple construction. Like I said, top down, increasing in a contiguous method on the shoulders, And then you stop because you've basically hit your width by the time that you start separating for the sleeves. And when you start separating for the sleeves, that's when the motif comes in. Really simple. You will pick up again after for the sleeve, which I give you the ratio so that it will always lie flat and not look puckered. And again, you can customize the sleeve circumferences to exactly whatever size you want. And that's not difficult at all. Don't worry, you're not going to be, out flapping the brace. It's literally just you knit this flat length to be half the circumference of your arm. It's that easy. And then just make sure you remember how many stitches are there or how many repeats you did, which you don't even have to remember because you can just literally count it. Super easy if you diverge from the pattern. You do have to pick up afterwards for the collar, but again, I give you all the stitches, sort of break it up. Like in the back, it's straight so that it's 1-to-1 stitch there. Then it's 3 to 3 rows to pick up 3 stitches for every 4 rows for these, what I call the angles. And then right across here, it's flat again, and I give you the exact stitch number there. So picking up stitches for the collar is a breeze, and that's my intention. I like to knit that sort of rhythmic and easy and not too sort of brain busting. And so those are kind of the criteria for my patterns, and I hope you find that works for you as well. So yeah. So these patterns, super easy, super fun. It's a tighter stitch gauge. I believe it's 26 stitches, and I can't remember how many rows. I never really focus on row gauge at all. Everything's done in measurements, so don't worry about that at all. There are 2, you'll notice in the pattern, there's 2 stitch gauges. There's one in stockingette, and then basically you want to mimic the stockingette in the pattern. The pattern, because there are increases and decreases, like there's this little bit of lace work, that this can be, how does it work? Anyways, you'll have to gauge for both of them because you'll basically switch needle sizes for between the stockingette that the stockingette that you like and the old shale. I think it was a matter of 3 needle sizes difference. And now I've just totally confused myself while I'm talking to you, and it's probably super obvious, but I believe the old shale, because it's passing this way, it's a bigger needle than what you would use for the stockingette. But if I'm wrong, I could be wrong. Gosh, you spend so many hours designing something and knitting it twice and you still can't remember it, but oh well. It's all in the pattern, but that explains why, just so that it basically will lie flat. When you are transitioning here, it will look puckered, but if it concerns you, just steam it. I did it for both of mine because I was like, oh, did I get my maths right? And I did. It's just, it does pucker a little bit at first. You steam it, block it, whatever, and it just lies really nice and flat like that, which I think is really attractive. So I love it. I hope you do too. I know there's been a lot of interest in this design, and I thank you for it because I get excited when you get excited. And a good friend of mine who I was on a cruise with and we've kept in touch, Allison, she's the one that came up with the name. It was so cool. So thank you, Allison. I love the name. She's so good with words. I love it. And so appreciate that. Yeah, so the Ride the Waves top is on sale as per usual with a new release and no coupon required. And it's on for 2 weeks. I was doing it 1 week. I don't know why before, but I think I just do it for between every episode. So I drop episodes every 2 weeks. So this will be on sale in Ravelry, no coupon required until December 12th. And I'll put a link down below so that you can just click on it if you want a link to the pattern. It makes it a lot easier for everyone. So hope you love that. It's really a fun one. I had a lot on my needles a couple weeks ago and it just seemed like nothing seemed to be finishing and then everything seemed to finish. So I've got 3 finished objects today, and I'm kind of excited about them. I'll start with this one, the Porcelain Sweater, because I'd really like to get it off the hanger. As you can see, I've used a rather drapey fabric, and I think the hanger might really affect it in the shoulder. So it was lovely to have it up as a composition with the other ones, but I'm keen to get it off the hanger, which I'm doing right now. Super, put that right there. So the Porcelain Sweater is a really lovely pattern that I'm sure everyone's familiar with by Lene, Holme, Samsøe of Lene, I believe is her other name. She's a wonderful designer. She also designed the rose the rose sweater, which I'm really keen to cast on, but maybe I will. Maybe I will. It's funny. I was just going to say I'm not going to do it too soon because it takes forever for me to. These not top priority knits take forever, but who cares? So anyways, maybe I will just cast it on. I've been playing with colors and I've got some yarns in my stash for that. Tangent, sorry. The porcelain sweater, it took forever for me. There's no reason why it needed to. It's just, it wasn't a priority. And then the Stephen West MCAL came in, which then took all my non-priority time 100% for that month of October. So which basically delayed this even further. I think I started this on like August 20th and just finished it last weekend, I think. But so worth it. I didn't need it in the meantime. Definitely wasn't the temperature for it. But it's a beautiful pattern. I believe it's a design off of, a stranded colorwork design that is to mimic, I think, the traditional Danish porcelain, which is Royal Copenhagen, I believe. And I've seen it in lovely colors, other color combinations, but just because of my past in interior design and I do love historic pieces and accessories of houseware and stuff like that. It's kind of an obsession of mine that I wanted to keep it as a nod to Royal Copenhagen, and so I kept it in sort of the blue and white colors that the pattern was designed in, and I'm so thrilled with it. The collar was meant to be tucked in and down, and while that would be lovely, I prefer this. So I mean, I can always just tuck it in if I want to. Yeah, it's an interesting knit, I believe. Gosh, it's so funny. I really do. I get engrossed in my knits and then forget totally how it's done. But which is sort of not great when you're trying to like always learn, but whatever. I can be a bit of a daydreamer. But I believe it's you knit the back panel and then pick up for the shoulders. Because you can see a little, I know she gives two options on this one design, and that's the option that I did. I know I picked up on the shoulders, and then which gave the drop sleeve effect that I really like these days for that oversized fit. And then, deep cuffs and deep hem, which I think is really chic, and a fairly straight sleeve, which again I think is really chic. And I used this really drapey yarn from Cashmere People, or let me just double check, because yeah, Cashmere People yarns, Cashgora, which I have purchased from Casey at Port Fiber. Mind blank. Sorry, it just sometimes it just blank. Anyways, I love this yarn. It's a really special yarn for me. It's a treat yarn. It's super drapey, as you can see. It's really lovely. It feels divine and really beautiful to work with. This was a 21 stitch gauge, and I think I'm just going to fold it, maybe hold it this way because it's sort of hard to. It was a 21 stitch gauge, and I think 21 stitches is probably the maximum gauge size that you could work with this yarn. It felt a little bit too loose, a little bit unwieldy at times, but when you wash it and block it, it just really comes together. Not in a dense way, so again, Sorry about that. Must have been someone walking by. Yeah, so it's a really lovely yarn, really special, a real treat. And this is kind of an elegant sweater. I am always worried about spilling or staining white, so I will keep this for special occasions, basically. Or wear it and try and throw caution to the wind, but I'm not really that person. And it's really, to me, this one is a really special one. I wish you could feel it. It's just absolutely divine. And sorry, there are some wrinkles. I had it folded up on my bureau so I could look at it and enjoy it there before I podcasted. So this one's great. I would really recommend the pattern. And it's just a classic. I think that's the best way to describe it. A really elegant, really beautiful classic. The one thing that I would say is the chart. So it is translated from Danish. It's Lene Holme Samsøe's native tongue is clearly not English. So there is some wording that's kind of weird, but I wouldn't make this your beginner sweater because of it, because I think you need to have a bit of knowledge on what you're trying to achieve, because I found some things really confusing. The other thing is she gives a whole chart for the sleeve, and the sleeve stitch diameter is approximately, say, 90, 95, 85, somewhere in there stitches. And so having that on one piece of paper, like, you know, I think it was even this way on the piece of paper, was just too much. And it sort of, in my mind, put me into kind of paralysis. It felt like a run-on sentence to me, which had me totally confused. So what I did do for the sleeve charts is I actually redid them on Stitch Fiddle. Stitch Fiddle's free. It's online. I think it's free up until a certain amount of charts that you use. I use it all the time. I use it for designing too. So I did redo the charts just so that I could see the first few stitches and the last few stitches and how she was asking you to decrease, and then the pattern repeat in the middle, and that really helped. This pattern repeat is a bit tricky because this is a distinct pattern repeat, this is a distinct pattern repeat, and then this repeats the other one, but they don't line up. So I had to do 3 different charts for that, which is why I think she did one long one. And if anyone has the concentration or attention that allows them to go through that, well done you. But I don't. I always remember, I love math. I loved math when I was a kid too. But I did have to get a math tutor when I was in like middle school. And the math tutor really just said, clean up your equations, just make them, you know, line up your columns and just clean it up, and then you can work it out. And that was such a good lesson for, like, you know, what are you in middle school, like a 9-year-old? And ever since then, whenever I'm overwhelmed with a chart or whatever, or instructions, whatever, if I can just clean it up and break it down into bite-sized sections, it takes the overwhelm completely away. And that was really great. And that's what I did here. This pattern repeat is great. It totally lined up, and so I could just chart it in one thing. But this one didn't. And it didn't do it in the sweater body itself either. It was a bit confusing. You had to add, I think, 6 stitches around to get enough stitches to fit this, and then back to that. Not a big deal. And I think that also shows someone like me who's just can twist myself up trying to get the exact stitches to always flow, that by adding a stitch or decreasing a stitch is not a big thing, and it's not a game changer. So for the body, that was easy. But for the sleeves, that one long run-on sentence where I couldn't see an obvious pattern like knit, you know, 2 blue, 2 white, 2 blue, 2 white. It was like, you know, say 2 blue, 2 white, 3 blue, 1 white. Like, it just, there wasn't a clear pattern. By breaking it down and by breaking down a complicated pattern into a more simple pattern for me to understand or to follow made such a difference. So that's kind of a big tip, I guess, from today. That's my big tip today. Don't get overwhelmed. Break it down, make it into simple bite-sized things, and it'll be a lot easier. It's just knitting. So that was a good practice on that. And like I said, it's a translated pattern. So just always make sure you have an idea of like what direction you're trying, what are you trying to achieve? What direction are you trying to go in? And you'll work it out. It's not overly confusing. It's not overly complicated. It's just clearly lost in translation in a few details. So that's great. Love the pattern. Can't recommend it enough. Take it step by step, and you'll enjoy it too. That's my tip. So the other one that I finished, this one was amazing. This one, grab it. This one here, I was fiddling around with just drawing on Stitch Fiddle. I had an afternoon that I was feeling creative, possibly a little anxious. Drawing really helps, just take a distraction and stuff like that. And I came up with this sort of pattern, this chart here. And then I thought, I wonder what happens if you take a chart that's clearly not just, it's not like one raglan section, but treat it like multiple raglan sections around the whole yoke of a sweater. What would happen? And that's what I did. And so you can see like all of these are raglan stitches in between. There are longish floats. So in the pattern, I also suggest, and I link it to a really simple video on ladder back jacquard. So I suggest also beside the raglan stitch, you create a ladder back jacquard stitch so that you've got really easy floats. And they're super satisfying. Let me show you the inside. So you can see there's the ladder back jacquard. It's separate from the sweater itself. and that just keeps the floats. I'm gonna take it off the hanger. And I think the inside is exceptionally satisfying, and the inside of the porcelain sweater is really beautiful too. In fact, tempted to wear it that way because it looks really cool. But yeah, so, and then I put this little daisy on the back to mark the back of my sweater. But you can see how beautiful is that. I mean, you could totally wear that right side out. But these are your ladder back jacquards that are in the instructions, and again, linked to a really simple video tutorial. Don't be worried about that. Like, once you see this on how to create the column and how to deal with the column, you'll think that it's a total game changer. Yeah. So one Sunday I was just playing on the computer, did the drawing, and I cast it on that night. I used big chunky yarn, which I'll talk about in a sec. And by the next, I was binding off the cuffs like the next Monday, the following Monday. So it took 8 days. It's like an 8-day sweater. The yarn I used was yarn that I bought at Vogue Knitting Live last January. And this is Mode for Rowan. Let's see, what is it really called before I try to make it up? Mode Rowan Softest Alpaca color 15, which is linen. I thought it was just the most spectacular neutral. So love that. And then I had I have some of this, which I've used before, and this is Isager Eco Soft in the natural color. And I just used one ball of that. So I hopefully haven't really taken away from my sweater's quantity there. But I just thought they paired into this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful composition. Very neutral, very sort of gentle, airy. Again, beautiful drape, but great stitch gauge. I think it's a 16 stitch gauge for 4 inches, 10 centimeters. And again, I have no clue about the row gauge. But yeah. Lovely pattern to work on, lovely pattern to sort of figure out and play with. So yeah, so just the whole idea about playing with multiple raglans, that was the concept for this. And then I just did rapid increases just to make sure that you had enough stitches for the body or the sleeves. Because basically the sizes are dependent. Like, you've got the smallest sizes will be 2 pattern repeats on the front and 2 pattern repeats on the back, 1 for each sleeve. And then I'll fiddle around with that for the smaller sizes. Then the middle sizes have the 6, so that's a total of 6 repeats. Then it goes to 8 repeats when you have 3 on the front, 3 on the back, 1 on each sleeve. And then you fiddle around down here to get the necessary for the arms, etc. And then so on, because you are limited to these sort of bigger pattern repeats. But then fiddling to fill in the distances between the bigger repeats. For sizing, I've added rapid increases here. So like a make 2 left or a make 2 right. And again, in the pattern, I've talked about how I did that. I don't know if it's officially how those are made, but it's how I did it, and I thought it looked really good. So there you go. I did knit it from literally the top of the yoke down, and then picked up the collar afterwards, and I included that in the instructions as well because I think it gives a really nice shape and a great way to fold it over and tack it down into the kind of cast on row. It makes it really simple and really elegant. There are short row shaping in the ribbing, so you can see the front is lower than the back, and short row shaping in the hem because I like having my back a little bit longer. I think it's the curvature of my spine. Again, all these things are totally optional. You know, whatever you like. And then a straight sleeve with an elongated cuff and hem. And it's great. So this is at the Tack Editors right now, and it'll go into testing next week, probably the first week of December. It's not a great time, I know, early December to test knit anything. People are so busy. It's such a busy time of year. I totally understand, but hopefully I'll get a few. And what I'd love to ask, because people are so helpful with names, my friend Allison was so helpful with the name for this, and other people in the past, like Get Out of the Pool Tea, I loved that name that was suggested to me, and I think another one too. I can't remember previous patterns at all, but if you have any suggestions, my inspiration was a fern, a simple fern. I was playing around with the idea of houses named like Ferndale, or there's Fernie in British Columbia, but there's a house in Bermuda called Ferndale. I'm kind of stuck on that, as in I can't think further. So if you have any other ideas, the whole aesthetic is supposed to be soft, elegant, cozy, gentle. Anything on that line, I would love, love, love suggestions, and would be ever so grateful. So please write them down below, any suggestions that you have for names for that. That's a really fun one. And I'd love to get that out as soon as I can, because it's a quick knit. It's a cozy knit. It'd be a really fun knit to do in the new year. It'd be really fun knit for people to be able to do over the Christmas holidays, but I'm not gonna be able to get it out in time, so apologies. And I know I should probably be staggering my knits or my releases for when it's best in the year, like even holding something back for a year, but I'm not going to. I've done it a few times and I forget how the sweaters knit. I have to refresh my whole memory, and I'm just over it by then. So I'm designing as I go, and if it fits the time of year and the season, great. And hopefully people like it. And I'm a 365-day knitter, so I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that are the exact same. So the third finished object is a pair of socks, and these were fun. This is, well, everything but the heels, because they look a little different, but the main yarn is Gauge Dyeworks, Pumpkin Stripe Latte. She does amazing self-striping yarn, really fun. I saw this color come through on the email and I just had to have it, so I didn't even think twice and I ordered it. It came with this color as the little mini, which is great. I love purple. But I was just playing around with it. And so there's a 31 stripe pattern. 31 stripe pattern. This would have been the first color here, but because I used it in the cuff, I didn't use it here. So basically I've done 15 of the colors to the tip, to here, sorry. And then I added my next color, which is, I added Lang Jowl. And then I started with the Lang Jowl and continued to here, and then finished with the same color, so the same mini scheme. I thought it was fun to have mismatched heels, and I just sort of picked remnants of yarn that I had in my stash that was sort of closest to the colors. This has flecks of black and it looks like ants to me. We have, in Bermuda, we always have ant problems, so it reminds me that it looks like I maybe stepped in ants. God forbid. It's not ants, it's just the yarn. And then this one too. I think these are from the same dyer. I think it probably was a past Advent yarn. It has a bit of sparkle in the heels, so whatever. I just kind of was having fun with color and not being too serious about it. I also used Summer Lee's from her Cuff Club, the September issue of this year. I did her cuffs. They're really cute. I don't think I read the instructions because I'm sure she talks about this, but cables make things tighter. And so it was a bit hard to get on. I have since blocked them and I think they're a little bit looser. I hope so, because it was a bit of a fight to put them on when I finished them. Whatever. But I'm sure blocking did loosen it. I also find that this Lang Jowl is really thin. Thinner than most sock yarns that I actually use. And if I use it, I'm now learning that this would almost be a different stitch gauge that I should use. I should almost knit a 72 stitch, sorry, not inch. Definitely don't need 72 inches around my feet. 72 stitch gauge for this rather than the 64 that I usually do, because it just was way too tight. And I think I'm getting to be a tighter knitter over time. So while I've always sort of been a 64 stitch, maybe I'm not anymore. I'm not sure for my socks. I don't wear them that much. I just really have fun knitting them. Maybe I'll gift them, but again, with the cuffs being so narrow, I'm not sure if that's really a good idea either. But it was really fun. I'll probably wear them, and I kind of like that they're mismatched. I'm probably more likely to wear them mismatched than perfectly matching stripes. The other thing, I bought the generous size yarn. Gauge Dyeworks seems to have two options. One is like 100 gram and one is maybe 150 grams. So as you can see, I've still got multiple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe, I mean, I could maybe even do 3 or 4 more pairs out of this. So, I mean, I could keep on doing them and having fun and perfecting the cuffs and just playing with the colors, and they'd all match. How much fun would that be? So I thought that I was going to continue doing that, but then I remembered that Advent starts on Monday, I believe. Monday, December 1st December 1st is a Monday coming. And so it's probably good that I don't have any socks on my needles, because I have the Advent kit from Michelle of Woolens and Nosh, and I buy that every year. And they're so much fun. And the neat thing is this year is about the Pacific West Coast. And I think it's about the inspired from the cruise that we all took a year ago to Alaska. So it's so relevant and so much fun. And we hung out a lot on that cruise. That was so great. So I definitely want to knit that in December. And I have to look at my notes, because I know for her yarn, I tend to pull really tight. And I know I have to either go up a needle size or whatever. So, and I purposely wrote that in my notes last year, because I think one year I ended up having to make fingerless mitts, which are really great. But that's because I just was pulling too hard on the yarn. So thank goodness for Ravelry, and thank goodness for writing notes, because I can't remember these details, other than I have a funny feeling I need to look before I cast on. And I should be casting on, because it's time to get ready, cast on the cuffs, and then be all ready for December 1st. So got to get on to that. So that is all of my finishes. I've been having lots of fun knitting, and I've also had lots of fun sewing. We'll go into that after my whip, which is literally now, having gone from too many things on my needles that was kind of overwhelming me, I now kind of feel like I need to cast on, which is fun. But I don't love casting on. I love being in the middle of a really juicy project. Call me crazy. So I am in the middle of a really juicy project of just one more thing. And this is a pattern that I published before called the Hamilton Sweater. Hamilton Raglan Pullover, I think I called it. My friend Priscilla met the lady who was milling this, so Pure Manx, from somewhere in the UK. It was really neat. She went to visit somewhere in the UK. I can't remember, sorry. And I'm not great at regions in the UK. Just I haven't spent a lot of time. But anyways, Pure Manx. It was a sheep farm, and the lady had gotten her Manx fiber fleece milled, and it's really cool. It's really rustic. It really reminds me of Let Lopi. This is supposed to be a DK weight. It's more like an Aran. It's totally more like Let Lopi. I'm knitting this at a 16 stitch gauge, which is really lovely. It's really dense. It could almost sit up on its own, which is really cool. Let's, anyways, you can see. And so I'm just knitting this design that I had done previously, and I think it's the perfect yarn, because look at that stitch definition. It's just dreamy. I'm at about 6 inches into the body. I've got 2 more to do, and then the hem, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to change the hem around or whether I just leave it as it is. I did add the collar, which I did 4 inches of a sort of a collar. I am really into the kind of mock neck or turtleneck collars, as you can probably see. But I'm really excited about this. Enjoying knitting on this, and yeah, I think I'd like to keep going and maybe get the body done, and then once the body's done, then definitely start casting on other things, because sleeves are just great to just knit around and around on. Yeah, so that is a Hamilton, let me just double check the name, Hamilton Raglan Pullover. Yeah. Originally I knit it in Drops Air, and that was really cool, and it has a total drape and really nice. I find Drops Air pills a lot, and it can look tired faster than a lot of other yarns. Maybe I need to glean it. Maybe I just need to give it some love. I'm not sure. But I think this is going to be quite the opposite. I really do. I think this might be armor. But it'll definitely be warm. It'll definitely be cozy. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah. And I love how it really shows off this pattern. And it's funny, when Priscilla sent this yarn to me, her husband comes to work in Bermuda quite often. And so she's great and sends packages through him. So I get a call like, please go to the front desk at X Hotel. There's a package. Alex, her husband, has brought a package. Anyways, so that's kind of fun. And I had no idea what it was. It was this big legal box, and I was like, oh God. Anyways, I was glad to see that inside it was yarn and nothing too heavy or legally. Anyways, and so I wanted to it was so exciting because it's such interesting yarn, and having met the lady with the sheep, the flock who had it milled. Yeah, and I spent quite a bit of time trying to find the pattern that I really was like visualizing, but it wasn't even a clear vision. I went around and around and around on Ravelry, and then I was like, well, let's just see if what my patterns might do. And this was exactly what I was wanting to use. So it worked out, and it was the right gauge. So perfect, heaven. So I'm having a good time with that, and I'm just trying to decide if I want to do a split hem or not. My only thing that I might not want to do a split hem with is because it is such a more stiff fabric, which I understand will soften a lot in blocking, but I don't think it's going to be ever drapey. I mean, nothing like the porcelain sweater or that other unnamed sweater. And I'm worried that if I did a split hem, especially in the front, like if I was sitting down a lot, would that front flip up? Would it kind of create a line that it wouldn't lie nicely or hang nicely? So I'm kind of leaning right now as I work with the yarn that I might just do a straight circumference, like a straight around and around hem, just so that it stays down. Because I could just picture, if this is the sweater and this is the hem, I could just picture with bending over or sitting down or whatever, and it sitting on my knees, that it might just start to sort of flare out and not fall down with natural drape. And I don't want that look at all. So that's that. So we'll see. By the time I come back in 2 weeks, I'm sure that decision will be made. So that's all the knitting. Really quickly, I've fallen so much in love with sewing. I'm finding it a really good puzzle. I find the instructions not great usually. And because I'm not familiar with the jargon, it's a bit of a puzzle in the sense that I've got to really think, where am I trying to go here? What am I trying to achieve with this next step that they're alluding to in the pattern? And there are a lot of blogs out there, and I understand with a lot of, I've been working a lot with not a lot. I've done a few of the Sew Liberated patterns, and I need to check out their blog because I understand that a lot of instructions are in their blog too, not just attached to the pattern. So I'm having a lot of fun, totally becoming obsessed with sewing. So I've shown before, I've done a lot of skirts, and I wear skirts a lot more than pants. I don't really wear pants, but maybe that's changing because now that I'm making my own, they fit like a dream, and I'm finding them super comfortable. So this could be a total game changer. So in the last 2 weeks, I've actually sewn 3 pairs of pants. I've sewn one, which is the navy blue one here. That's the Sew Liberated Chanterelle pattern, and that was a bit of a stretch for me. But I did find on YouTube some people talking about it. It's rather vague, definitely not a walkthrough. It's a shame I didn't know about the blog because I have a funny feeling there's a lot more information on the blog. I know they have a tutorial on sewing pants. I just wasn't really up for a whole tutorial at that time. Anyways, I did it. Their instructions are actually pretty good, and their attention to detail with the little finishing touches, like the cuffs and everything, an added cuff. Let me just get it. Was really, really fantastic. So the Chanterelle pants, to start with, really lovely. There's like a patch pockets on the front, patch pockets on the back. I didn't quite catch the patch pocket, and this just went through the laundry, and it showed some fraying because I wasn't really sure when and where to use the serger. I am still learning, so a few of the frays had come out. So this morning, I think down here, I had to stitch some up with my hand. They're not perfect, but I love them. They're super comfortable. I was a bit too conservative with the elastic in the waistband, and then once you top stitch it, it does sort of stretch it out, so it's not as tight as it should be. So I think I'm going to add belt loops on it and then just compensate that with belt loops. So that's cool. I did this in fabric that I could get in Bermuda. Literally, these have just come through the washer, so they're a little bit creased. Apologies for that. I should have ironed them, but I just wanted to get going on this podcast. I can get this really nice lightweight denim from a fabric store here on the island, and I'm kind of using it as my muslin, basically, and a wearable muslin, because I think with all the work to make this, and as a newbie, if it's at all successful, I want to be able to wear it so that I am excited to continue learning. So it's kind of like trickery, mental trickery. And so I'm really excited that I have. And I love these pants. These are great. I've worn them quite a few times. And like I said, had to wash them because I wore them so much. The other, sorry, I think it's fluff from something. It's flying around over my nose. The other pant design that I've sewn now twice are these. And I've sewn them twice because this was my first version. And they're not totally perfect. You can totally see the waistband's messed up a bit. The instructions on this one, these are the berry pants with the barrel legs. I wasn't sure what I'd think about the barrel legs. Sorry, I can't get back enough to show you. I actually love them. I love the fit of these ones. They're not as full in the hips, and the barrel legs are really flattering. They're not overly exaggerated either, but yeah, so I find these really, really flattering, the pants. The instructions were really confusing. These are the Berry Pant by Style Arc, and I think it's an Australian company. And I get the impression, I did a little teeny bit of Googling. I think Style Arc and the way it's presented is for someone who has a basic understanding of sewing, where I think Sew Liberated is dished up a little bit more for like, you don't know anything, and I don't know anything. So there was a lot of things that like where and when to finish, and stuff like that with the Style Arc that I didn't understand. And even when they were clear on the other, I didn't do it quite right. So whatever, I'm a newbie. But so I sewed the blue ones that I'm wearing right now, and then I wrote notes on how to better do it. One other thing they wanted you to do was to put the elastic in and then attach this waistband to your pants, and that, no. That's just not going to work for me, in the sense that it's not going to be neat and tidy. So I had to think about it, and I wrote notes on how to do it in a better way, and I'm very happy with that. So this is the better way. I didn't even do it the way they were supposed to on this one, but the waistband's not great. These ones I really like, the waistband, the fit, and this is then sort of a fine corduroy that I bought at the same sewing store in Bermuda. It has a faux zip placket there. I think I folded it the wrong way. Who cares? Yeah, and it's lovely. There's pleats in the leg, and it's a really nice fit. So I'm really pleased. I'm really, really, really pleased. I'm really addicted. Oh, no pockets in the back, which is fine. I don't think I need pockets in the back. But the great thing is actually those two patterns, the Chanterelle and the Berry Pant, are similar enough that I could probably merge the two. Like I liked the cuff detail on the Chanterelle. I could totally put that onto the Berry. And like I said, I've been fiddling with the notes and the instructions to make it better for me. Makes more sense for me to make it, and also the finishing. Now I'm learning when and where to finish without having weird fraying bits coming out because I sewed the seams too close or not, or whatever. Totally learning. And so I'm having a lot of fun there. I have also, it's the Black Friday sales, and Closet Core have a tutorial, that's the word I was looking for, on how to sew a button-down shirt. And I'm excited about that. So I purchased the tutorial, and I will get onto that soon. I find my next steps are overwhelming. So like I did skirts, simple skirts for like 6 weeks, 2 months. And then I did a pause, and then I get my energy up and my kind of confidence, and I've done a little research, and then I start the pants, and I'm feeling good with the pants. And I think I'm going to have the same sort of pause and then go into the button-down shirts. But I think that's next. The other thing that I'm finding as the weather turns cool, I really like sweatshirt material tunics. I wear that a lot around the house and I like to sleep in them. I find them really cozy. So I've got two patterns in that I've purchased, and I'm tempted to do those next, even before the button-down shirts, because I think they'd be a lot simpler. But then that gets into sweatshirting fabric, which has some elastic to it, and how does that work, and how do I, anyways. But I'm finding sewing fascinating, similar to how I found knitting when I first started it. It's kind of as obsessive, and I want to learn everything. And that's neat. That's really cool. I really love that. So I'm really glad that knitting is there and keeps me company, and it's wonderful and creative and challenging, and still keeps my mind ticking, and the maths of it and the grading of it is really fantastic. But I'm also really excited to have another craft hobby that's new to me that I can totally learn and obsess about and try to figure out. And I think that's really, really, really fun. So that's all my news. Just busy making. It's really fun. And yeah, and I hope you're having fun too with your knitting and whatever else you're doing. It's getting into the sort of holiday season. Tomorrow is American Thanksgiving. We'll celebrate American Thanksgiving. My husband's family are more American leaning. They're all Bermudian, but with more American ties. I have more Canadian ties, but the Canadian Thanksgiving is in early October, and it's just too hot here to even feel autumnal. So I'm kind of glad that we can all just enjoy the American Thanksgiving tomorrow. So that's great. And then all the other wonderful creativity that comes with Christmas and winter crafts and everything like that. It's fantastic. Bring it on. I'm excited. So I'll leave you there. Luna says goodbye, and I'll just say goodbye before she keeps barking. So have a great couple weeks, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Enjoy. Happy knitting. Bye.